folks. Well, we got one more cartoon to look at, and in my opinion, it's the best one. So, let's take a look at Captain N's history and... Hold on a minute. Yes, may I help you?
Is there a Redneck gamer here?
Well, that would be me, but how... Wait a second. Yellow shirt. Letterman jacket. Your first name wouldn't happen to be Kevin, would it?
It's Captain N, bitch.
Oh my god! Captain N! The Captain N at my house! How did you know that I was reviewing your show?
Actually Mario sent me.
Yeah?
Wanted me to give you this tape.
Tape? Most people just send letters. Well, let's go view this tape. Come on here. Hey Shasta, I'm back. Shasta, that's hella rude. This is Captain N himself. Apparently, Mario sent him over. Yeah, he even sent this here tape. I'm gonna pop it in and see why.
Hello, Redneck Gamer. It's me, Mario. I've noticed that you've been reviewing some terrific Nintendo cartoons. I've taken the liberty of having Captain N himself help you with the last episode of the mini marathon you're running. I cannot confirm nor deny that I may have eavesdropped on your friends, Dylan and Michael, when they were talking about you doing these reviews. Anyway, you're welcome, and make sure to be as informative as always. Oh, by the way, review more of my games, please.
I agree. Well, Captain, welcome to the review. I'm honored to have you here. Let's take a look.
Sounds cool to me, dude.
The concept for Captain N didn't come from either Nintendo or DEC. It actually came from a Nintendo Power magazine editor by the name of Randy Studdard. Mr. Studdard pitched the idea of a cartoon to some of the execs at Nintendo of America who, believe it or not, were impressed with Studdard's idea. The concept that was presented had a character by the name of Captain Nintendo, who was an employee of the company and had the power to bring characters and items from the games to life. However, Mother Brain, who was originally intended to be a piece of programming, goes rogue and starts wreaking havoc. Captain Nintendo would defeat Mother Brain initially, but she vows to return, leaving things in the air for a potential sequel. The execs liked the pitch so much that they showed it to the bigwigs in Japan. They liked it too, but also decided that it needed a few tweaks. They did greenlight it though. As with the Mario and Zelda shows, Captain N would be made by DEC Entertainment. However, this show got its own team of storyboarders, writers, and artists. And because of that, Captain N went on for 34 episodes. It also got syndicated along with Mario and Zelda, so that's a nice bonus. That was this cartoon's history, but is it truly any good? The answer is yes. Yes, it is. And all three of us are going to tell y'all why now. The show starts by showing that the kingdom of Videoland, the main setting, is under constant attack from Mother Brain and other bad guys from the different places in the kingdom. The ruler of Videoland, Princess Lana, is told by the Power Glove here that there's a prophecy that tells of a great hero named Captain N, who will come and defend the kingdom. That's where the Power Glove opens up the quote-unquote ultimate warp zone, and we're introduced to the captain himself playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! That is all until he gets sucked into the TV.
If you guys are wondering if it felt weird to go through that, it actually was. But it was pretty cool. It kind of felt like being on a roller coaster at Six Flags.
After going through the ultimate warp zone, the captain ends up in Lana's castle in Videoland.
And you must be Captain N.
It's here where you'll discover one of this show's strongest and also weakest points. The sheer amount of video game characters that show up.
Yeah, there was a ton.
Lots of video game IPs make an appearance in this cartoon, and some of them were reoccurring. Those that were included Pit and the Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus, Mother Brain from Metroid, Mega Man and Dr. Wily, Simon Belmont from Castlevania, King Hippo from Punch-Out!, and in the second season, the Game Boy console itself becomes a regular on the show. Now, those guys are featured throughout much of the series, but there were more.
Yeah, there were a lot of video game characters that made one-off appearances, like Bayou Billy. Meeting him was awesome. He was like the Ted Nugent of game IPs. Other characters I met included Donkey Kong, Count Dracula, and hell, I even got to meet Link, Ganon, and Zelda when we did a crossover with their cartoon. That was friggin' sweet.
This is one of the reasons I love this show. It was basically Wreck-It Ralph before Wreck-It Ralph ever existed. However, despite the fact that all of these IPs show up, there's a bit of a flaw with them. They look quite different than how their video game counterparts look, and I'm gonna ask Captain why that is.
Oh, that's a hell of a story.
Probably the biggest example is Mega Man. He's not blue. For some reason, he's green in this show, and he talks like Popeye.
Or I'll mega blast you.
I don't get it. Why does he talk like that, and why is he green, Captain?
Well, as you may know, my little homie Mega Man's not really a man. He's a child. And like a lot of children, they like to copy what they see on TV. Dr. Light was a busy dude, so he kept Mega Man occupied by giving him a bunch of Popeye VHSs to watch. He's green because of all the frickin' spinach he was eating at the time.
Wait a minute. Spinach? And he liked Popeye? You mean he was eating that nasty-ass canned stuff?
Yeah.
Blah! No wonder he was green. Well, okay, that's Mega Man, but what about Simon Belmont? He acts like a total fop.
I'm not going to do anything, but my whip is going to whoop you. Ah! Look out!
He's wearing World War II aviator clothes, and he looks like he was hitting his local tanning salon.
Oh, Simon. Yeah. His story's a little tragic. He was a pretty cool guy, too. But he was going through his own personal bullshit. He was drinking a lot back then, and it brought out the worst of his personality. His drinking also made him go on a hella big ego trip. That's why he was dressed like that, and also why he was so tan.
Huh. I'll be damned. Simon Belmont was an alcoholic.
He's clean now, though. AA.
Oh, that's great. It's always a good thing when a person moves on from that kind of problem. The last character I'd like to bring up is Mother Brain. Now, I'll be honest with you, Captain. I do like her design, and she's actually one of my favorite characters in this show. But why did they give her a face?
That was Deke's call. And they did it purely for comedic reasons. They thought her original design for Metroid was too boring, so they gave her a face she could emote better. They also synthesized her voice to sound like the plant from Little Shop of Horrors.
It won't be long before I, beautiful goddess that I am, become queen of Videoland.
Wow, that's pretty damn cool. For the exception of a few more one-off characters, everyone else looks okay. Especially Pit. He looks just like he does from his retro games.
Yeah, he was my other little homie. No knock against Mega Man, but Pit was a little more chill than him.
I reckon that was because he was older.
Yeah, by a couple of years, give or take.
That was all pretty interesting, Captain. Yeah, another thing that I've noticed about your cartoon is that the animation is slightly less good than what was seen in Mario and Zelda.
Oh yeah, that was all budget related.
Ah, thought as much.
As a lot of you viewers know, it wasn't just the Mario and Zelda cartoons that Deke was putting money towards. Inspector Gadget and Real Ghostbusters were still running, and still gaining good views. Deke had no choice but to cut corners, and so my show was given a smaller budget for its animation.
In my opinion, despite that, it still looks good. Your cartoon might not have had the best visuals, but for what the animators were given, it looks fine to me. I've seen way worse. Except for episode 2. The backgrounds in that scenario keep disappearing and then reappearing. What was up with that?
That wasn't the animator's fault. That was the glitch gremlin fucking around with the set. You gotta remember that Videoland is subject to the physics of video games to some extent, so the glitch gremlin was able to manipulate the backgrounds.
Damn, he must be a real prankster.
Oh yeah, in the worst possible way. It's actually gotten him in trouble with the law in video game land. Fortunately, he never messed around with my show again after that.
Thank you, Shasta. That's quite true, and what my cartoon might lack in visual finesse, it makes up for in animation style.
I agree, wholehearted. But moving right along, I'd like to get to the meat of this review, the characters. And let's start with you, because you're the main attraction.
Okay.
I'm gonna just say it, Captain. Nintendo and DEEK made you a very cool character. Firstly, you're a gamer, and from the looks of it, you're an NES master. You're not just a guy who plays old school Nintendo games, you thoroughly study them. Another thing that makes you cool is that you're adventurous. One worthy thing to note about your show, Captain, is all the action that's in it. And you're at the center of it all, kicking ass and taking names.
I got to be game master by learning from my mistakes. Come on, you big trash masher, try to squash me. I dare you.
And one final thing that's awesome about you is that you're smart. Mother Brain and her minions have come close to achieving their goals, but you usually use your wits to help you win.
Thank you very much, Redneck. I really appreciate that. I just want to say that it was hella awesome hanging out in Videoland. Getting to meet and work with all those video game characters was a great thing to experience. I'm still thankful for it today.
Speaking of which, I'd like to talk a little about them too, if you don't mind.
No, sure. Ask away.
Okay, Princess Lana is another good character. Like Zelda in the Zelda cartoon, she's usually fighting the bad guys right along with you. Not to mention, I love the chemistry you two had on screen. Tell me something, Captain. You two were an item offset, weren't you? I bet you two are married now, huh?
She left me for a guy who works at EA Sports. Oh my god.
Wow. Way to lower your standards. Oh, it's okay, Captain. Hey, I bet I know of a girl who's way hotter than Lana.
Yeah, who?
Samus Aran.
What would she want with a wash-up like me?
Don't look at it that way, Captain. Hey, listen. You two have two major things in common. You guys are both adventurous, and you both have fought Mother Brain. There you go. You guys have two things in common. Hey, I bet you if you shot her a message on Facebook, she'd answer.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
What have I got to lose?
Yeah. Anyway, Mother Brain and her minions are a riot. That's probably this show's greatest attribute. It is hilarious as all get out of hell, and it's Mother Brain and her henchmen that are the funniest characters of all. Mother Brain, as stated previously, has a face, and no matter what, she always has some kind of sinister yet derpy expression. Then you have Eggplant Wizard and King Hippo. You can basically think of these two as the Horace and Jasper of this cartoon, and yes, it is as humorous as it sounds. Like I said, all three of these characters are pretty damn funny. I'll give you folks a few instances.
Can I give you one tiny vote for every time you've messed up my plan?
Are you nuts? That would be 1,000,000 votes. Lettuce is green, tomatoes are red. Turn King Hippo into a salad head.
Hey, this ain't lubrication!
Into the pipe without any toil. Abracadabra, vinegar and oil.
Ooh, toss your salad! Vegetable! Oh, we're not...
I love it when a movie or a show has both likable heroes and likable villains. Makes watching that much better.
All those guys were wonderful to work with. Mother Brain was also quite clever. She came close to ruling Videoland a few times. She loved it when she was on camera though. Lana thought she overplayed it a lot. I found it to be some of the most hilarious shit myself. The writers weren't sure how to make King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard act until they were given some input by the two themselves. In other words, they helped write what they were going to be like. Also, like Mother Brain, they were just as funny offset as they were on-set.
Another thing that makes your cartoon funny, Captain, is the dialogue. Along with some of the slapstick that goes on, the dialogue had me rolling a few times.
That was one of the benefits my cartoon had. As you are aware, the Mario and Zelda shows had the same writers. My show lucked out by getting its own team. They knew what was funny, and it totally shows.
Alrighty, Captain. Going back to Mega Man and Pit, they both had these speech patterns. Mega Man would say Mega at the beginning of everything, and Pit would say Icus at the end of everything. Was that the scriptwriters, or...?
They just did that obnoxious thing on their own.
They do that in not all, but most of the episodes. I'll give you folks an example.
Help with us!
Our mega muscles with this!
She's very much upseticus.
We've got to warp there mega fast!
Now, as I said before, I don't consider Pit and Mega Man's speech quirks to be that irritating. In fact, it doesn't bug me at all. But y'all viewers might feel differently. So, they did that on their own, huh?
Yep, they sure did. Kids will be kids, you know. They were my little buddies, but they both like doing immature crap. Mega Man a little more so than Pit. The writers weren't responsible. The two conspired to do that the day before the first shooting took place.
They did?
Yes, the director even came on set to tell the boys to stop, but the cast, myself included, thought it was cute, so the director decided to keep it in throughout the series.
Huh. Well, those little shits. Well, this show had a lot of comedy in it, Captain.
Totally.
But it had just as much action in it, too. Every scenario has some sort of battle in it, and it's awesome that we get to see these video game IPs use their iconic abilities. Captain N himself was given the power to jump high and to momentarily pause time. He also had the NES Zapper to help him out every now and then.
It was really sick to live in Videoland for the amount of time my show was on TV. Having those superpowers was a pretty fun experience, though there was always a chance that I would run out of power at the worst possible time.
Huh? Oh, I'm out of power!
Most of the battle scenes were not choreographed either. We were given direction by the storyboarders and the director, but we were mostly told to just wing it.
No kidding?
Yeah, and those were considered the hard parts to shoot and animate. When filming the episodes, we usually did the battle stuff first, and then we moved on to the non-action scenes. It was great that we did it that way too. We all needed a good laugh after fighting with each other. That's one of the reasons we all stayed connected after the cartoon was done. We genuinely liked each other's company.
Well, Captain, Shasta, I think all of us have covered this cartoon quite thoroughly. I love this cartoon. In fact, I think it's one of the better shows based on video games. However, there are two major things that make Captain N harder to recommend for some of you folks. For instance, this cartoon is very much a product of its time, and by its time, I mean the 80s, which is fine if you like 80s nostalgia, like me. But I'm pretty sure that some of you viewers aren't fond of that decade, and thus you may not like Captain N. Another thing that makes this show a harder sell for some is that it's basically an over-glorified commercial for Nintendo products. There are people that just do not like that concept. Now, me personally, I'm okay with the commercial approach because that can be done right. Case in point, The Wizard and Wreck-It Ralph. Not to mention, this cartoon has a lot of great stuff to offer. The characters, both heroes and villains, are all humorous and likable. There's a near flawless blend of action and comedy, and Captain M himself is probably one of the most underrated Nintendo characters ever.
I appreciate that, Redneck. I did get a comic book spin-off after my cartoon was done airing, but that was really short-lived. Since then, Nintendo has sort of forgotten about me. I'm really happy I got to talk about the show and reminisce about my experiences on it. Hopefully you guys watching now are intrigued enough to watch it for yourselves. Like with Mario and Zelda, my cartoon can be found for free on the channel Wild Brain. You can find a link in the description below.
Captain N, the Game Master, does get a B for bad, but out of all the shows I've reviewed in this marathon, this is the one I recommend the most. Seriously, I think a lot of you folks will like it.
Hey Redneck, I wish I could hang out longer, but Mario's throwing a Christmas party and I gotta head out there.
Ah, the Christmas party, huh? That sounds great.
Yeah, Samus just messaged me. She's gonna be my +1.
Nice, that's great. I knew she messaged you back.
Hella, thank you again. See ya.
See you later, man. And hey, don't be a stranger. You come back and do more reviews with me.
Oh, will do.
Yeah. Alrighty. Have a nice time at the party.
I will.
Shasta, it's your turn to share your final opinions. Thank you very kindly, my old friend. Well, everyone, this marathon was fun, and I'm very happy I got to talk about these cartoons with y'all. This won't be the last time I cover this kind of stuff either. There were many, many more shows that were based off of video games, and I intend to review a vast majority of them. Alrighty, viewers, Shasta and I are going to hang it up for the year, but we'll be back sure enough. And as always, y'all folks come back now, alright?